So one of my Budget Dog Academy students, Joe Sullivan, shout out to Joe. He's been a day one OG in the academy for a long time. He asked, what is the step-by-step process of starting your own business, including what website to file for the LLC, as well as the accounting software you recommend for bookkeeping, literally everything. Good question, Joe. And I want to break this down for everybody listening because I think this is relevant to everybody today that listens to this podcast on a regular basis. Most of you guys want to make more money, right? And so instantly a lot of people go, especially on the online world, is like, well, you should just go start your business because you can make more money than your W-2, potentially. But there's a lot to consider here. And any business owner listening to this right now is going to laugh on various points that I talk about during this podcast today because they're going to relate very heavily to it. So the first thing is asking yourself, do you really want to create a business? Because making more money and freedom does not necessarily translate to starting your own business. And I can tell you right now, 95% of people aren't built to build a business. I can tell you that right now, guarantee it. I've had a lot of people come to me in the past and tell me, oh, I'm going to start my business. I'm going to do this, that. Okay. I used to believe it. I used to be like, oh, this is awesome. I'd be fired up for them. And nobody ever actually did it. So I have a lot of people that are entrepreneurs in my life or around me that will tell me or come to me in my DMs and say that they're going to start a business. Great. If you do, that's awesome. But let me see it actually happen. Don't just tell me about it. I don't want to hear your idea. I want to see you actually make that idea become a reality because ideas are pointless. Ideas, we all have them. Everybody in this world. Who can take an idea and put it onto paper and actually get money for it and produce money for it and income for it, right? And so if your goal is to make more money, you have to ask, is building a business even your right move? Now, I will take a step back, and if you are a true entrepreneur out there and you are truly trying to pursue a business of your liking and you really have a passion for whatever that is that you do, I highly support it. And I'm going to walk you through today the exact things that you need to do to take the step by step. But if you're one of those people that have been thinking about a business for the last 7 years and you haven't taken action, well, it's time to actually take action if you're going to do so. Because if not, it's just gibberish and talk and it's cheap. I don't listen to people anymore. I've lived this game too long to listen to anybody, quite honestly. I don't listen to anything anybody says. I hear them, I listen to them in a sense. But if somebody tells me they're going to do something, I just wait till the action actually supports what they're saying. When the action matches, I'm all fired up. But until that happens, it's just another person telling me they're going to start a business, which I hear every single day. So the first thing you want to do, Joe, when you think about starting a business is what is your actual niche or your market that you're serving? And what is the product/service that you're actually going to give or provide? And so a lot of people will jump to the cheap stuff like I call this, they're kind of like procrastination when they're trying to focus on the website and the design and the logo and the perfect fit. Guys, my name's Budget Dog. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. It didn't come from starting there. It came from starting to provide in learning my market and asking questions and figuring out what people in my market wanted. And I unintentionally started Budget Dog as a business. I just shared my information out there and my tools and resources and my expertise and knowledge. And people told me what they wanted, which then eventually turned into a product and service of that nature, right? And so when I first got into the financial game, I started sharing online, Instagram, social media, Twitter. It was on YouTube a little bit. It was on TikTok. And I was just sharing good information and sharing exactly what we did. So I had really, really in-depth experience because it was me helping myself and my wife. So I knew every little nook and cranny and every detail of the product/service that was slowly being built that I didn't even know was being built at the time. And so I initially provided my services for free. And some people call that crazy. Some entrepreneurs are like, don't spend your time for free. Like your time's worth it. Okay. The reality is if you're going to provide a really, really good product or service, you got to test it out there in the market. And not everybody's going to buy an expensive product right off the bat with you have no experience. So you got to prove yourself in a sense, no matter what anybody says, that your product or service is worth it. So I went on for, this is 5 years ago at this time, and I was doing all these free calls, and I was as I was talking to these individuals, I understood what they needed. I kept listening to them a little in more in depth. I kept providing resources, building resources for these people based on their needs that they needed. And I just kept providing and building and building and building to eventually I kind of had a product or a suite of products that would help a particular person. And depending on who I talked to, I knew which product to pull out of my suite of products to help that individual. And I started getting crazy results. And shocker, that's what you have to do. If you just provide a service or product that gets you no results, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to talk about it. Nobody's going to have some buzz around it. And you're not going to actually make money long term. So I needed to provide a real product and service that I could actually get money for. And so when I was providing this service, one, I have a deep passion to help, because this, again, was not an intentional business build or a business entrepreneur. I was not an entrepreneur of mine. I was a CPA at Deloitte. I was going the partner route at Deloitte, 7 years in the game. And this was kind of a spin-off of, wow, this really helped a lot of people. I've been helping people. This product service that I offer that's very unofficial at this moment is getting people crazy results. They're having huge net worth gains, huge, just overcoming so much financially, paying off tons of debt, investing a ton of money, learning how to actually protect your money with estate planning and taxes and wills and trust and durable healthcare powers of attorney and just everything under the sun, maximize your credit. And I started providing these services and I started getting the results. So then I could start to talk about it. Then I could actually formalize a real true product and service that I could actually deliver and fulfill upon. And so I didn't know what that was day one, nor did I have an intention. So people told me and I just listened to what they wanted. And then I created exactly what they wanted. That is step one. And so before you even talk about an LLC, you talk about anything else out there, your logo, don't worry about that. Just put the word out there and say, here's what I offer. I'll provide a result for free. I guarantee it. Get those testimonies and make sure that you share those testimonials. If somebody gets a good result and it's a fair price, people are going to buy your product. It's like common sense, right? And so the second thing you want to do is actually prove your concept out to earn money from said products or service, right? And so once you've kind of formalized it, you listen to the market, what the market's told you, and now your next step is to kind of formalize and then go out to the market and sell this, not just one time, but multiple times. This is the next step. Actually prove this out. Can you actually provide a service that and you fulfill upon that service or product consistently for more than one person at a time? And what systems do you have in place? Probably nothing at this point in time. It's probably you, yourself, and I. Like that's all it is at this point in time. There's no marketing team. There's no sales team. There's no admins. There's no secretary. There's nobody. It's just you, likely. And so proving your concept out to earn the actual money. So actually providing a service or product, earning legitimate money, actually having some income, not like $10. We're talking like 10,000s, hundreds of thousands, like start to make real money off a product or service. Then at that point in time, we can take it to the next step. If you aren't there, you have zero business doing anything else. That is the only focus that you should be doing at this point in time, is focusing on the service and product that you want to deliver in specifically which market, and actually being able to sell a formalized product, right? And so notice, I did not say anything about an LLC. I did not say anything about a website. I did not say anything about a logo. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff right now because it's not going to make you any money. It's just a wasted cost that makes you feel better inside. It's not anything. I can instantly spot somebody that is a legitimate entrepreneur and somebody that's a wannabe that has an LLC or a website. A website does not make you a legitimate business whatsoever. Anybody can go build a website. That does not provide anything to anybody besides a pretty picture. And debatably, my website still stinks, honestly. Go to budgetdog.com. You can see my website. It's nothing impressive. It's actually horrendous, and I probably need help there. So if you have help with website design, call me. The next thing is, once you begin earning that money, ask yourself how you can actually make that process repeatable and scalable. If you can only do one thing one time, that's not a business. A business can provide a service or product over and over and over and over without using your time every single time for it. If let's say, for example, I give out consultations that are 2 hours each, and I have a cap on my time. I have 168 hours in a given week. Most of the, 8 hours of that times 7 is 56 hours I'm sleeping. So I don't have that much more time on top of that. Then I have to go to the gym. I have to eat. I have to shower. I have to do all the other things people do. I only have so much other time. I'm also probably working a job as I'm starting this business, which I was at Deloitte. When I was at Deloitte and I was doing all this stuff, I was doing all of this on top of a Deloitte schedule, which is, anybody knows, during busy season is like 70 to 100 hours a week, to give you perspective. So On top of that, I was going to the gym. On top of that, I was sleeping, everything. It was absolutely everything from head to toe. And so you have to be prepared to be able to scale this without your time involved. And so if you don't have a service or product that does that, is it repeatable or scalable without you being active in that business? Now, early on, there's some sacrifices that you're going to have to make. And I did myself. There were times where I didn't sleep. I did sacrifice my sleep. I did sacrifice my health, but I was able to know the bigger vision of eventually I was going to productize or, build a service where it wasn't dependent on myself. And that was the mission. But if you sold one unit, can you sell two? Can you sell three? Can you sell 100? Can you sell 1,000? In order to do that, what do you need that you do not have right now? That is your first reinvestment. Let me say that again. In order to do that, what do you need to do? Like, let's say to scale 1,000 units of product or service, what do you need that you don't have right now in order to get the 1,000 units or whatever you're trying to, attempt? That is your first reinvestment. So remember, we've already started making money from this product. It might not be consistent. It might not be repeatable or scalable exactly, but what's the thing holding you back? That one thing, there's one thing that's holding you back from scaling that. And let's say that is a specific software. Well, maybe my first investment should be that software. So I don't take money out of my business and make money at this point in time. And in fact, I made $0 for the first 16 months of Budget Dog, to put it in perspective. But if you have a passion, you'll stick with it. Entrepreneurs are not waiting 16 months to see $1. I promise you that. They'll tap out in day one. So taking that and understanding that is your first reinvestment. Maybe it's a software, maybe it's a person. I don't know. You tell me. It's your business. That is the key to reinvesting. And early on, the only thing I did the first 12 months after making money was just reinvesting. I made zero profit. I made gross revenue, right? You bring in revenue, but all of it goes to expenses to then reinvest in your business to then scale it eventually. You have to have a vision for this and you have to have a budget and understand your numbers behind this. So that's a huge piece of it. I'd say use free services early on. There's so many free services out there that, you can use basic things like Calendly, for scheduling, or Zoom accounts are free, 40-minute limits, obviously. And there's so many opportunities to use free services in the age of the internet. So capitalize on that. Use your common sense. You don't need this fancy dancy service right off the bat. Sometimes it's just basic. It's just very simple stuff, and you don't need complex stuff. As you build this business, and any business owner out there will relate to this one, is simple is better. Simple scales, fancy fails. Mr. Hormozi says it all the time. I talk about it all the time internally. Simple scales, fancy fails. The more complex you make this, the more stuff you have, the more gadgets you have, the worse your product probably is, the worse skill set you probably have, and you have a lack of, and you need to focus on that lack of versus trying to compensate with some fancy service or website or LLC or design. It's hard to hear sometimes, but it's the truth. And I only say the truth. Now, the next thing is you're reinvesting that money. You're starting to make profit. You're starting to scale. You're starting to prove out this true concept within a given market. The next thing is you need to focus only on sales and marketing. Only on sales and marketing. So as you grow, you still should always focus on sales and marketing, but early on, sales and marketing should be your only focus. And like I said, 80% even after that. All this admin stuff, all this stuff that people ask me, honestly, Joe, I'm going to call you out on the question itself. The accounting software, the LLC website, none of that stuff's really relevant. You can outsource that in 5 seconds. I will answer that question. In fact, the website I used, I didn't use a website. I used a lawyer, my friend. He was free. He just did the service for free to file my LLC. But you also could use a legal Zoom. You could also just get a legal friend, whatever. Don't over emphasize that stuff. And the accounting software I use is QuickBooks. Boom, there you go. That's the answer. I still use QuickBooks to this day. And so the focus needs to be sales and marketing. How can I deliver and serve people with said product and service? I think that's where people go wrong, is they think they have to have this crazy message about how do I convince people that this is great? You don't. You need actual reviews that we've already had at this point in time, because we've offered this service for free. Then we offered it in a paid form. We continue to get those reviews. We continue to document those reviews. These are real people getting real results. That's what Budget Dog is. And so it's not hard to market that. If I say, Joe and Nancy earned $150,000. They had 30,000 in credit card debt. They were $25,000 net worth. And after 6 months of working with us, they're X, Y, and Z way better. There might be some skeptics early on. Oh, yeah, right. That's a lie. But when you do Joe and Nancy times 100 because you've proven out your concept, it's hard to deny it, right? How many people are going to be lying for you? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Eventually, that person, if you just keep sharing the real results of your actual product, and you don't have to have some like fancy dancy message or like some like copywriter that's like really, really fancy and like words does their words really carefully. You don't have to do that. Like just tell people what you provide and tell the result that you get with real actionable case studies. And so that's what I would focus on marketing, sharing your message. That's all. You don't need anybody at that point in time. Sales is the name of the game in anything in this world. You sell yourself every day. I hate when people are like, well, I hate salesmen. I hate to be in sales. You sell yourself every day to your spouse, to your kids, to your boss, to everybody around you, everybody you come in contact to. You are putting on some sort of a mask, in a sense, to provide or sell yourself to be worthy. It's literally a human nature trait, and that's very okay. It's normal. So can you sell somebody on this? You don't need the best thing about sales and marketing is if you have a good product and good service and you just are honest, you will sell a lot. That's all this takes. And so sure, you can get a salesman, you can get an official sales manager, all that stuff, but that's not the intention right now. The first, I would say probably year and a half of my business, I would take phone calls with incoming students for the academy, just myself, and I would tell them, here's what we offer. Here's what I can provide you. Listening to your specific, scenario. Here's what I think we can do. Here's the roadmap I'm going to take you on. And if you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to get this intended result. Fair? And people would say, hell yeah, sign me up. And that's all I did. And I did that for a long time. And so until I started actually making real money to then outsource that. So then I could start to outsource sales and marketing and all that kind of stuff, right? So the next thing, which what I did as well, is I hired talent. Now, talent comes from networking. I will tell you right now, you're not going to go find a talented person on LinkedIn looking for a job or a job posting board like Indeed.com. Those people are looking for jobs for some reason. Why? Because they're probably out of a job. Somebody else isn't hiring them. I have found out that the name of the game is when you hire talent, it's all through networking. You have to go out and talk to people. You have to make relationships, build relationships in your market and say, hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. And these are people you provided, I'm assuming value for in the past, like I've done for many people I asked, for relationships for. And I say, hey, I'm looking for this type of person. Tell me the best in the industry. They'll go say, hey, this person, I've worked with them. They're phenomenal. Okay, let me get in contact with them. What's their going rate? Learn their going rate. Can you bring that into the business from a margin perspective? Does it make sense financially for the business, for the financial health of the business? And make a good decision. But go with your gut. I'll tell you this is a lot of times people want to have like this perfect like budget and like these perfect, like anybody that does that in this world, like I'm a CPA, guys. I'm very buttoned up. I have a very structured, and I'll get to that in a second, business behind the scenes that you guys don't see on a daily basis, but like things are flying all over the place automation wise. SOPs are in place, all that kind of stuff. And most of the times I make a gut call on all of my hires through relationships, networking, and just talking to somebody one time. I can tell you right in 4 seconds if somebody's going to be good or not. What's your history? What have you done? What results have you actually gotten? Similar to the reverse angle of my business. Somebody's selling themselves to me to work for me. I can do X, Y, and Z in this category of the sales or marketing or whatever the case is. Does that make sense? Does that not? I don't know. You have to make that judgment call. And that's the hard thing about business is you're not always going to be right. And I always go with my gut, and sometimes I'm wrong. I've been out $25,000 before. I've lost a lot of money, but that's the risk you have to take on. Going back to the beginning of this podcast, the first thing I said is not everybody's built to be a business owner. Not everybody's okay with losing $25,000 or having a gut decision go wrong or making a bad call in the business. That's what you have to deal with on a daily basis. And it's never going to end, just so you know. There was a funny interview between Alex Ramosi and Dave Ramsey. And Alex said, you're super successful. You make hundreds of millions of dollars. What would you tell somebody starting a business today? And I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said, listen, you think that like at X, Y, and Z date, you're going to have everything together and everything's going to be systemized and everything's going to be locked in and you're going to have no more issues. And then a lawsuit hits, and then an employee quits, and then there's a death in a family of one of your executives, and things shift really quickly, and that never ends. And there's always problems in a business. And so that's why I always say there's a lot of entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of people that have no business starting a business. And it's a very important thing to talk about. So hiring talent's the next thing. You're not going to scale your business by yourself. You have to go hire talent. You got to go pay. It's well worth it. You just got to know what you're paying and what those margins are and how that's going to impact you. I always made a list of like, what are the biggest needle movers that I am not good at? And what are the things that if I had right now, could exponentially 10x me, 100x me, what are those things? And, true, like posting on social content, not my thing. I'm very raw, real, and just like say it how it is. And so me creating a post that actually appeals to the masses, like, I don't know, I might be able to do it. I have good information, but like, do I write the right hook? Like, this is where you start to get a little more strategic with time. So can I capture somebody's attention? I hope, but like not all the time. So I want somebody that can nail that, like absolutely crush that. Because if you bring people to me, I'm still sales at this point in time. I can sell anybody because I know how good our stuff is and I know it inside and out, and I'm just honest. And so that's the easy part for me, but marketing's not my strong suit necessarily. So I want to hire somebody for marketing, for example. And so that's a huge thing. Do not be cheap, spend the damn money. So a lot of business owners are so tight, and I can't tell you how important it is to be able to let go and to learn that skill. And that's not a skill that you just have. Some people do, unfortunately, too much, but I'm not like that. I'm a very conservative individual. But being able to scale a business, you have to let go, not only of duties, but also of money. You have to trust in the right people and let them do their thing and let them operate in their genius zone and let them scale the right way and scale your business. You talk about the vision, you tell them what you want, and you let them go. That's the name of the game for everything, guys. Now, once you have all of this stuff, you have, let's go ahead and kind of recap this list, right? We found our product and service. We've actually proved out the concept. We're starting to scale, and it's a repeatable process. We're starting to scale and make more legitimate money. We have focused on sales and marketing this whole time. We begin to hire that talent in the sales and marketing department. Obviously, marketing or sales is probably going to be first, depending on your skill set individually, but you need to hire that out without question. And then after you have the basics, and that's still very basic at this point in time. This is where I was probably about 2 years ago. At that point, you need to start to systemize your organization. Now, I personally in Budget Dog use Asana. Asana is a project management tool that is phenomenal, and you can house all of your SOPs. For anyone that's listening to this that doesn't know what an SOP is, it's a standard operating procedure where you have an exact sequence of what to do for all of your different employees in different areas, right? And so what I did early on is I built, because I'm a very operational minded person, I saw my whole vision of like the operations very quickly. I had my people in place. I understood what they did. I kind of documented that. I put that in the marketing and sales and all that kind of stuff. And I built out my different various departments within Asana, and everything everybody's responsible for. You can put exact timelines on them. You can put the name, who's doing exactly what. And so what we would do is literally build this all out by department. And I'm looking at it right now on my screen. We have specifically my daily report that's automated through all the different projects below. But we have Budget Dog Rocks, which are big quarterly drivers for the entire team. Big quarterly vision, maybe 3 to 7 things. This is from the book called Traction, which is implementing EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS. It's phenomenal, and that's what we operate out of. We have our team event calendar. We have our Millionaire Club, which is one of our products. We have our sales team. We have our student success. We have our student success report, where I track all of our students' actual specific data and tracking. We have our marketing. We have our tech. We have our HR and admin. We have our visionary and integrator. And so all of these have various different SOPs. We're building them out by daily SOPs, weekly SOPs, bi-weekly SOPs, monthly SOPs, one-time SOPs. And then we have to-dos, and we have completed. And then we have resources in each one of those things. So everybody knows the acronym GAS. And if my team is listening to this right now, they're going to laugh because I say it so often, but that's what you got to do for them to listen. If they start mocking you, that's a good thing. That means they got it. They understand what you've been saying, the vision that you're trying to preach. So EOS is Entrepreneur Operating System. Highly recommend the book. If you guys are starting your business, start to read that book. It's one of the best books that ever happened to Budget Dog. And it was recommended by Francis Abola, who's actually on my team, and helps us out in the marketing department. A great friend, mentor, and phenomenal person. I look up to him in a lot of different ways. He recommended this book, and it was earth-shattering to what it did for our organization to systemize our business. And so when you're early on, man, people are running with their heads cut off. It's like, you're doing this. Wait, what are you doing? Why did you do that? It's like everything breaks. It's horrendous. I'm an operational person. I had to build this. And so what I do is we use EOS, and like I say, we call it GAS. So GAS is an acronym for a very simple framework that we operate everything within. GHL, which is our CRM. We have Asana, which is our clear-cut SOPs, standard operating procedures. Everybody knows what to do, when, and clearly and accurately. And then lastly is our scorecard, which is built out of the EOS framework as well, which is clear, precise data. If we have clear, precise data, and we know what everybody's doing, when everybody's doing it, and we have good oversight into that process, it's hard to lose because you can make good real-time decisions, and you can make good qualified decisions based on real data. Now, this data does not need to be complicated. The more complicated you make it, the worse your business is going to be, because that just tells me you don't really know what are the big drivers. I always joke is if you can put your 5 to 10 key metrics that you should be tracking in your business on a napkin, and you go to an island and they ship that off to you, and they tell you what the numbers were for those 5 to 10 metrics, you can say what you should be doing in your business even from an island without talking to anybody. You're on a deserted island by yourself. Your COO, CFO sends you a napkin with 5 to 10 metrics, and they say, here's what happened last week. Where should we focus? You should be able to focus and tell them exactly what to do from that napkin. And so if you overcomplicate this, it just gets cumbersome and nobody knows what to actually look at or how to actually make good decisions. And I highly recommend that. Now, with time, and we have, in fact, have gotten much more granular in different ways, but we've developed that skill set with time. In order to begin, 5 to 10 key metrics. How many people show up to your calls that you have? How many people do you offer the product to? Are you bringing the right people? How many of those people actually pursue the program? It's very clear-cut, simple data, not hard at all. The SOPs within Asana, I think, are extremely valuable. Now, your employees might not like you for this, by the way. I, kind of get that feedback sometimes. They're like, man, do we really got to be in Asana? Your employees don't care how this business runs. They just know how they're making money, but they don't realize everything that goes into it sometimes. Wink, wink, employees that are listening to this that work for me. If I don't know this, I can't make the right decisions for the long haul to help us and you make more money. And so if I have that and we all know what everybody's doing, there's clear-cut data, there's clear-cut responsibility, there's KPIs, key performance indicators that say, hey, you employee need to do X, Y, and Z and hit these numbers in order to be successful in this role. And you set those very clear cut right off the bat as you hire those individuals. And that's something that should be well documented, well known, and well tracked. And if you know all that stuff, it's hard to lose because you either hit it or you don't. And it's not a personal vendetta against somebody if they don't. It's just hey, you're not really, trained for or well fit for this position. Is number one. The other thing is you might not have had proper training for this individual. Now, this is where I get into the talent discussion is I build trainings for my employees and people that come into the business. We have great trainings. In fact, all my SOPs are clear cut. But what really makes you money and what really builds and scales a business is the talent. And you can't really train talent. You just know the position you need. You got to go find talent. And if you put the right people in position, they'll do the job for you. Then you systemize around them according to what they like. And I think that is the key. And it's something I really learned early on. And so after that, Joe, I know the question was initially the bookkeeping. That's when you add the admin stuff. Once you actually have an operation, that's when you bring in an admin, you bring in the bookkeeping, you bring in all the other stuff, right? Maybe the CPA, maybe the legal, all that kind of stuff. But before you do any of that, you need to go through the process of building a true business. And so the step-by-step process, let's recap kind of what we talked about so far before I go into a little tangent on top of this. So Number one is find your service and product. Do people even want it? Budget Dog services were free in the beginning. Number two, prove your concept out to earn money from said product or service, right? Nothing about LLCs or anything like that. Just, can you actually sell this product at scale? Is it repeatable and scalable? That's your first reinvestment. My next third point is focus on sales and marketing. 80% of my time is in sales and marketing every single day to this day. 4, hire talent. Marketing or sales first, depending on your goal and personal talent. Number 5, don't be cheap. Well, actually, it's like 4B, let's call it. Don't be cheap while you're hiring talent, or other things that need to take place to grow your business. Number 5, systemize. Asana, Gas, EOS that I talked about. GHL, Asana, Scorecard, all we use. Everything is within those three, basically those three domains, and everybody knows where to go for that. Ad admin is number 6 as well. So like all the boring stuff. As you noticed, Joe, your question was, about the bookkeeping. I barely even talked about that. That's how little of importance that is to me in the grand scheme of things. So that's 6. Not to belittle the question, but to realize that that's not the focus if you want to build a true business. And so that's number 6, is add the admin structure. And so I say all that, guys, with those things are key to begin. Now, one thing I did not talk about is the leadership component in understanding how to message down and how to message up. So when you're the CEO and the founder, your message is always down. But as you bring more people in, the communication gets way more complex. A third person, a fourth person, it gets really, really complex. You really got to think about this. And so it is important to understand that everybody that comes in knows how to manage up and knows how to manage down. Very, very key to this whole entire puzzle, to make sure you have a successful company that is recurring in nature, and you consistently have business, and you're consistently communicating properly up and down the channels the right way. And this only gets more complex with more people, but make sure that's a focal point and you talk to people all the time and restate yourself 4 million times. When you tell your employees to do something, you ask something, do not expect them to go do something to your liking right the first time you say it, no matter how clear you make it. I've learned that the hard way so many times. It was so frustrating early on, but I will have general cadences of 1 time, 2 times, in person, on the phone, on a Zoom account, sharing screen, all of that stuff. And we say it over and over and over and over, and the team says it. And I send it to my managers, and I send it to my COO, and everybody will hear the same message over and over and over, and somebody still won't get it, just so you know. So it's something that you're going to have to get used to and learn how to train people properly as you build people into your business and bring people within. With that being said, guys, that was a lot to cover. I would love to begin talking about building a business. I have a lot of experience. I've been doing this for 5 years. I've really built a successful business with Budget Dog. It's been an awesome thing to see grow. And at its core, our mission at Budget Dog is to help people become millionaires and to give back as much as possible. That is at a core of everything. Is if we can help you, if we can serve you in any way, we would love to do so. If you want to be part of the Academy, if you want to be part of Millionaire Club, if you have a financial issue at all, if you're trying to make more money, I've thought about building a service to help people build their businesses. There's so many things at play, but at our core mission at Budget Dog, we are trying to help you become financially free, and we want to serve you at a high level that you can overcome everything that you think you may not be able to at this moment. And because we know we've done it so many times, and it's been repeatable. We've helped at least 2,500 families at this point in time. And that's something to hang my hat on, because I'm very, very proud of that it's a repeatable, recurring service that absolutely changes people's life transformationally. And I hope you guys can be the next person. So reach out to me if you ever have questions, and I will see you guys next episode.
You've been listening to Money on My Mind with your host, Brendan Schlagbaum. If you found value in today's discussion, share it with someone who could benefit from it too. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, so you never miss a money mastery tip. Until next time, stay passionate about your financial journey and keep taking bold steps towards your money goals.